Yo, it's your boy AJ. I'm here with Rage. We about to break down who's guarding who in the NBA Finals, man. Boston, Dallas Mavericks. Make sure you hit that like button. You're now tuned in to Hoops World.
Hoops World.
James.
Right here, the king is like, hey, guess what? I'm still the king.
I hit the streets just to get a bag. I pack, he got toe tagged. I punched the nigga for shorty. I'm John Woo with the 40. You not gang or the homie.
I'm fine,
Don't
I'm
blow
good.
me, no, you don't know me. Gang shit, members only. You wasn't there, I was lonely. You wasn't there, I was lonely. Dog nights, blicky on me. I was just stacking my commas up. Head down, trying to run it up. These niggas be steady, be clocking me.
Yeah, man. So this NBA Finals, man. This NBA Finals is going to be very, very interesting. Boston is going to be going against the Mavericks. So we're going to talk about first. We're going to get into the matchups because basketball is all about matchups. We just seen Dallas Mavericks. Everybody thought the Wolves were going to come out of this series, the Maverick series, but the matchup said different. Now I'm going to you, bro. Like we're going to start off with the point guard matchup, man. Who do you think is the best? Because Boston has the thing about Boston, they have so many great defenders, man. Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown. Um, who do you think should guard Luka? Who do you think they would put on Luka to be Luka's you know, like who would stop Luka? Not stop Luka, but give him problems. I mean, we've seen Luka have like issues with stronger guards. Lou Dort, Lou Dort's gave him a couple issues. He's not going to stop Luka. Nobody's going to stop Luka. But it's just about preventing him to get to his spots and pushing him all full court. But who do you think they're going to put on Luka, bro?
So I think they'll probably go anywhere from Drew Holiday to like Derek White. I
Mm,
think you could put Jaylen Brown on him too. They
mm,
they could really experiment with those different type of guys because Derek White can essentially guard. He could guard a PJ Washington or
mm.
he could go and try and chase Kyrie around, but I think Drew Holiday might end up being that guy for Kyrie maybe to put on the start. Obviously, Drew Holiday's more of that point of attack defender, so they might end up trying that with him.
Yeah,
But with Jaylen Brown, he's just been that kind of guy recently. If they're gonna continue to, you know, keep his offensive load the way it is, with him being, just be that top guy,
yeah, that makes sense.
they might end up keeping Drew Holiday on him.
Yeah, I
But
would put Drew. I would think I would vote for
those
Drew to go on Luka. Yeah,
probably go with Drew Holiday for for the physical aspect because those are the guards that he has trouble with. With Jaden McDaniels, it was a little less physical. You could kind of see Luka have a little more problems with like a Kyle Anderson than like
yeah,
Jaden
great point.
McDaniels because of the
Yo, he was
physicality.
bullying Jaden. He was bullying like when Luca posts up and when Luca backs guy, he was kind of like bullying Jaden McDaniels a little bit, because they in the last recent game they switched that matchup. They put Jaden, I think, on Kyrie, and they put Anthony on Luca. So it's like Anthony looks like he's a more stronger, he has like a stronger base. Anthony Edwards, so they put him on Luca, and it was a little bit, tougher in
Drew
the early
Holiday might
game.
be that perfect guy to, help
Mhm.
bug him, but Luka could take advantage of, the size. So
Yeah,
it could be interesting. But ultimately, I mean, those short, those guys are the type of people to bug Luka. So it might end up being that Drew Holiday matchup for him. But Luka could also take advantage of that. We know how talented Luka is. Luka
yeah.
plays good against the Celtics too. It's not like he plays bad. He usually plays good. So.
Yeah. And then we're going through Kyrie, and Kyrie's probably going to get guarded by Jaylen Brown. That's probably like the automatic deficient right there. Derek Jones Jr. and PJ. So I guess you could put, if you're the, would you put who was Jayson Tatum guarding, I guess, on the Mavs? Then that's the thing. Would you put him on Derek Jones?
You could.
Mm,
It's all kind of interesting too, because a lot of the with Dallas, they do set a lot of screens, so it might be a lot
yeah.
of switching too. There's gonna be a lot of it's gonna be a lot of changing around. It's not gonna be like there's gonna be a lot of if they go in like an ISO,
Yeah.
5 out type of thing. If that if they had like Cleaver out there or something, and
Yeah.
Lively isn't playing for whatever reason, you know, um, you know, if you're able to have in a 5 out scenario, then you kind of go that you're able to have that Luca route, and you're able to have more of an offensive flow going on. But
Yeah.
and any real scenario, they're going to have, Lively and Gafford come up and set a screen. So
Yeah.
it's going to cause a lot of, defensive changes. So there'll be a lot of
It
changes
could be a
there.
lot of
But,
mixing and matching, yeah, yeah. And I think for Boston's point of view, like I said, it's really about Luka and Kyrie, Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ. That's why you can put Tatum on one of those guys. You don't really have to worry, and Derek White on one of those guys. As far as the Mavs standpoint of view, I think that it's tough because I mean the center matchup. I think Lively and Porzingis kind of like is probably the best defender for that. I mean Gafford is going to help too, and now they added Kleber to the mix, so you got three bodies you can really move around with the centers to match up with Porzingis, and then you're going from with PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. I think those are the two wing guys you got to put on JB and JT. Like whoever's the I don't think it really matters whoever's the better defender, but they just both have the length, the versatility, and able to switch to really guard JB and JT for them. And then again, you got to put Kyrie and Luka on your weakest links. So if it's Kyrie guarding Derek White or Luka guarding Derek White, whoever's the weakest links, those the ones that are the two left over that are weakest links, you just could put Luka and Kyrie on those guys. That's basically how the matchups I think are gonna go.
if like, if Kristaps is kind of just sitting in the corner,
Mm.
hey, Lucas is kind of chilling there.
Yeah, exactly. Because Boston with Porzingis, they sometimes do like to go 5 out shooting wise. So you might as well just, put Luka.
Especially with Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown's, play styles too, essentially,
Yeah.
the ISO guys who just kind of do it themselves.
Yeah. Now going forward, like going with these matchups, we'll see what happens. But what do you think Boston? We'll start with Boston. I mean, like I said, Boston's such a flawless roster, man. I mean, you go through we went through their stats before this. They were number 4 in defense. I mean, number 2 in defense, top 5 in offense. Like all these metrics, they're like literally a flawless team, like on all spectrums, defense and offense. But what would you say Dallas could do could really hurt the Boston? Like, what is Boston's weakness? What do you think Dallas could do, man?
So I think, with being able to, like, with Kyrie taking it to the basket and just kind of, attack going at them from
Yeah,
the beginning,
yeah,
you'll be able to get that. The good thing with Dallas that they do have over Boston is that they do have a better bench for sure,
yeah,
and they can capitalize off of some of that of what they have. Although,
yeah. Great point.
with Porzingis coming back, they still have Al Horford,
Yeah,
so they're not as gutted, on the bench. They still have Pritchard who can give them some stuff, but Dallas definitely has the edge in terms of that.
yeah,
And it's just being able to take advantage of Kristaps being just so big, and they're going to constantly have Gafford and Lively
lively.
come up for a
Mm,
screen, and they'll be able to, Luka can do so many different things with a step back, get a defender on his back to where, he gets maybe like, where he gets like a little floater or something or a layup, or he
yeah,
just throws a lob where he has someone else come up and Lively is just kind of sitting in the paint or Gafford sitting in the paint and he's able to just throw the lob up there. Or, Luka's driving to the paint and he's able to kick it out. Derrick Jones, you have PJ Washington, you're able to kind of do it from there. They can obviously have their moments where they're lights out,
yeah,
and with Luka being able to kick it out, and all those guys who help complement them from the 3-point line,
yeah.
they're able to get that from them too.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think like one of the key things for the Mavericks is again, like you said, the bench has to beat their bench. The bench points is gonna have to beat their bench every game. Those X factors are gonna have to play better than the Boston X factors like off the bench because that's gonna be key going forward, because if the stars cancel each other out, it's all about the role players. Whose role players are better, whose bench is gonna be better. So if Mavericks can do that and win the bench every time, that's gonna be great. And then also the points in the paint is where I think they could really attack Boston in the paint. You get Porzingis in foul trouble. I know he's a decent rim protector, but if you get Porzingis in foul trouble, and then we looked up during the year, Boston has struggled with teams that got a lot of offensive rebounds. So the Mavericks do have Gafford and Lively are very, very good at getting offensive rebounds. They're
Derrick
very, very
Jones
good.
can get an offensive
Derrick
rebound too.
Jones, yeah.
They
Mhm,
just have an overall team where they're an overall team.
mhm.
They're really good with those offensive rebounds, and
Yeah,
they're able to create those second chances, and they have the 3-point shooters and the
yeah.
talent to get the bucket off that second chance.
Yeah, because I don't think you don't want to get into a situation where you're trying to outshoot Boston because that's what they want to do. Boston wants to shoot threes. They're gonna want to like shoot. You don't want to go to that shoot shot for shot thing. I think you punish them in the paint, get the offensive rebounds, mix and match it. Like you said, what you were describing with Luka and Kyrie, mix from and match inside
And they're
out
gonna
kind
have
of
to bring
game.
people down too, and you can kick it out, and they'll be able to get the threes there. They don't have to
Yeah,
spam the threes. They can attack the paint, get
yeah,
points there, and then the threes will come. You know,
yeah. Luka got to use his size, and then Kyrie got to use his ability to finish inside.
and
And then
speed, man.
yeah, and
The
speed.
speed.
Yeah. So we're gonna go to the Boston point of view. If you're a Boston fan out there, what could you do to like? What would you say the Mavericks' weakness is, or what could you do if you're a Boston, the Celtics, like to slow them down? I guess.
Kind of being able to cancel out Kyrie Irving helps out a lot. Just
Yeah.
everything in general, just being able to perfectly cancel them out. That it help starts there, but
Mhm.
Luka as well. But if they're able to be be solid defensively, they obviously have been that team defensively. Although the Pacers have been they definitely had their number
Yeah, they did.
for quite a few games this series. But with Boston, it's just that
They're deep.
all they really had to do was just kind of sit tight defensively and you
Yeah.
know eh, just play physical. Really, if they're able to get Luka Doncic just in his head early, and they're able to cancel out Luka, it starts there. If they outplay Luka and Kyrie just with Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and we know what their starters do. Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Kristaps Porzingis are all going to give you really solid production.
Yeah.
And then sometimes PJ Washington and Derek Jones can be question marks. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It really depends because basketball is really a variance. Like some nights you're gonna shoot lights out. Some nights you won't shoot good. Some nights we'll have a Luca and Kyrie and JT, they'll both shoot good, and some nights they won't. So it's like
and
it's such a
every night is a game of runs. Every
yeah, it's
single
a game
game
of
is these
runs.
runs. So
So with the Mavericks, like what I think, the one game that the Wolves were won, I think they did is a good job of punishing in the paint. I think they did a good job of attacking the paint. Um, I know they didn't have that lively for that one game, but they definitely hurt. Rudy Gobert and Cat were able to eat. You know what I'm saying? And if you get Gafford and Lively in foul trouble too, that's the thing with Boston. They first of all the thing about Boston is like their defense haven't looked impressive to me. Like eye test wise, stat wise, Boston has been. If you look through the stats, Boston is flawless. But eye test, it's like Boston has these certain flaws in their games. Again, like they fall in love with the three too much. If they don't hit the threes, it's like they all just kind of look lost and the offense just stagnant, and then it turns into my turn, your turn, my turn. I don't know what I'm doing. And that's when we've seen the Pacers get a couple of runs off on them. Those are like the little things Boston kind of does. And then the defense is like sometimes they just don't, they can get lazy at times and it just doesn't really look right. Am I bugging here?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
and then definitely, and there's definitely going to be times where it's like where Luka's just chucking up the shot, Kyrie's just chucking up the shot,
Yeah.
and obviously Washington's going to shoot,
Yeah.
Derek Jones is going to shoot. You're gonna have those opportunities. It'll be interesting, but Boston
The
cannot
favorite's gonna
like
be Boston. Like this series, like the odds makers are gonna make Boston's probably gonna be the favorite. They're gonna be the favorite because their roster is incredible. They have the talent on paper to beat the Mavericks, right? It's just certain things the Mavericks do, they gel as a team, and then we think about Boston's run to the finals. They haven't really played against a good defense yet. And shout out to I think you were talking to Julian about this. Boston hasn't really ran into a team that can rim protect. The Pacers don't have no rim protector. The Cavs, Jared Allen was injured. Mobley was the only guy there. Who was their first round team? It's like they haven't really gone up against a good defense. And when Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown kind of like stay on their talent wise, they're just like, oh, let me just go to the basket and outshine you, or outpower you, out talent you because I'm 6'8" and I'm athletic. That might not work against the Mavericks. You might have to pull up midi, pull up three, and if your pull up midi and three is not working because Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford are literally great rim protectors, that's where it gets tricky. So it's just a lot of different things with Boston and with the Mavs, but we'll see what happens, man. We'll see because it's gonna be interesting. We can really break it down like 1,000 different ways. There's gonna be so many once game one starts, I think we'll get a really good feel of how both teams are, going to play each other. We'll see how the defensive schemes are going to be, and that's going to be really going forward what determines how you can get this. The Mavericks could really, I guess you could say the Mavericks could upset Boston in the finals. But yeah, make sure you guys hit that like button. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at HoopsWorld0. We'll be back. We'll see what happens, and appreciate you guys so much.